about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So to take fish oil or not to take fish oil, that is the question. We keep hearing back and forth that fish oil is so good. Fish oil you have to take. It's going to protect your heart, protect your brain. You need to do it. But then we get these studies going, I don't think you're getting the full effect. We don't think it's all that. We don't think it's working to the degree that you think it is. And now we actually have a study saying it might hurt you. So let's look at this. Looking at the pros and cons of fish oil. The omega-3 fatty acids, your EPA and DHA. This supports your heart health. It helps lower triglycerides, helps you with arthritis, cognitive function. We see it helping with our eyes, with our skin health. There's been discussions of preventing cancer. And so it sounds exciting. Not to mention fish oil might actually also help fetal brain and eye development. We have seen benefits for years. Yeah, there's some side effects, some GI side effects. We want to make sure you're also not accumulating extra mercury, because a lot of the fish oil came from fish that had high in mercury. But we are being more aware of some risks, such as bleeding risks. It could increase risk of bleeding, act as a blood thinner. It could also interfere with medications. It could also cause a overconfidence in one's health and diet, such that they're not actually eating real fish, or they're not eating a more balanced diet. So something like that needs to really be, shall we say, taken with a grain of fish. Okay, but this latest study is talking about how, maybe it could hurt you. So the population group they're concerned about are those who have had mild head injuries. They say researchers found that the fish oil might actually do more harm than good. Now, according to Dr. Onder Albayaram, fish oil supplements are everywhere. People are taking them for a variety of reasons without a clear understanding of their long-term effects. And he's an associate professor from the Medical University of South Carolina. But he says, we don't know whether the brain has resilience or resistance to this supplement. So the researchers found that a specific part of the fish oil called EPA, which we just talked about, which is an omega-3 fatty acid, can interfere with how the brain heals itself after an injury. Instead of protecting the brain, the long-term use of fish oil may actually make our brain more vulnerable. So the study looked at the neurovascular system, which is the network of blood vessels that supplies the brain with nutrients and helps it recover. And this is being reported by Fox News. And they believe that what happened is the EPA of the fish oil made the walls of the brain's blood vessels less stable. Hence, after an injury, these vessels need to be strong to help the brain repair itself. If the blood vessels are less stable, the brain can't repair itself. And you need your blood vessels to transport the nutrients and the oxygen and things it needs. They say the chemical also blocked the repair signals that the brain usually sends out after experiencing physical trauma. Now, additionally, and this gets us a little nervous, they say that the fish oil use was linked to a buildup of a protein called tau. Well, where does tau protein fit in with Alzheimer's? Now, we're not saying fish oil can cause Alzheimer's, but what this study is saying is, we might need to just look at it a little deeper. According to Dr. Al-Bayram, they said, I'm not saying fish oil is good or bad in some universal way. What our data highlights is that biology is context dependent. We need to understand how these supplements behave in the body over time, rather than assuming the same effect applies to everyone. Plus, the brain is pretty complex. Now, the study was looking at those with repeated mild head injuries, and so we're we're talking about a select group of patients. We still think fish oil can help with heart health, but what I've always said throughout this whole thing is eat the fish. We're doing a lot of work and we're toiling and trying to just knead the dough of these vitamins and supplements. And if you could just eat the fish, you're going to get the fish oil. Now people say, well, yeah, but the problem is you got the calories and you got the mercury and you got the, we're not going to replicate nature. Those individuals who eat a fish and vegetable diet, we believe do well overall with their heart, with cancer risk, with stroke risk. They do better. They're eating a healthier diet. Fish doesn't have as many, red meat components to it, and the fat from that. They have a lot of nutrients. They have the omega-3s. And so, when somebody says, well, I take fish oil supplements, and I ask, do you eat fish? Oh, I hate fish. I love my husband, but he doesn't like any fish. I'm like, you got to get the fish into you. If you eat fish instead of steak, it's going to be healthier. And he's getting better. He's getting better with it. So what I would do is talk to your medical provider. I don't think you need to give up on the fish oil yet. But it does suggest and remind us the same thing that we've always been talking about, where these vitamins don't necessarily, and these supplements don't necessarily mean it's all 100% good for you. We could be doing some harm. We've seen vitamin C tablets put people at risk for kidney stones because they're so chalky. We've also seen studies years ago with calcium supplements and how that chalkiness could sometimes affect the heart and the heart blood vessels and vasculature. So, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying don't use vitamin C or calcium supplements, but the supplements are supplements. They're only supposed to be used, to augment a very healthy, well-balanced diet. And if you're using them as just a substitute, no. All right? They supplement. That's why they're called supplements. Eat the fish. Eat some vegetables. Whole grains. Drink plenty of water. Right? Exercise. We could do this, guys. But I got to tell you, one thing about this study that's striking to me is if we're seeing increased tau protein buildup. All right, that's going to be a big concern. We need to study that right away. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So public officials want us to have more poop talk, or we need to be talking about our bowels. Now, older people in my family, all they do is talk about their bowels. All you hear about is, well, I'm constipated, or I'm this, or I had my colonoscopy. But do younger people talk about their bowels? Do younger people talk about if they have a rectal bleed or a hemorrhoid or rectal pain, or if their stools look like little, pencil thin sort of calibers? No, younger people don't talk about that. Maybe they're being a little bit more open, but unfortunately, we are seeing colorectal cancer rise exponentially. In fact, colorectal cancer, which is colon cancer and rectal cancer, is now the leading cause of cancer deaths in adults under 50. It's rising, especially in millennials. Now, signs of colorectal cancer could be something as, simple as, your stool looks a little different. It looks like you're rather than having, I don't know, like a normal sausage looking, it looks more, as I said, like a pencil. It could be you're thinking you have a hemorrhoid because there was a little bit of blood when you wiped. But it could also be you're having pain in the area. You're having abdominal pain. You're having bloating. You're having stool that looks bloody or maroon colored. You have more constipation, fatigue, weight loss, and anemia. When somebody has anemia, it could be their periods, it could be, something else, nosebleeds, but we always check for blood in the stool. And colorectal cancer, being that it's rising so much, we have to have conversations with our younger generation. Why are we seeing it in the younger generation? Well, we think it could be because of obesity. We're more obese now, and obesity doesn't help. We're sitting a lot more. And you having jobs where you're sitting all day and not moving, that could unfortunately increase constipation, and that could then increase one's risk of colorectal cancer. Why? Well, if what you've eaten has nitrates and nitrites and chemicals, and that's not getting passed very easily, and it's sitting there having access to the bowel wall, we think that could be an issue. Also, HPV, human papillomavirus, can cause anal and rectal cancer, and people having access to that, through sex, can increase somebody's risk. But one of the biggest things that I've been seeing that I think is putting the younger people at risk is them not having a doctor, them not getting seen, and them using telemedicine. I can't tell you how many young people call up saying, "Yep, I got blood in the stool. I need hemorrhoid medicine." I'm like, "Do you have a hemorrhoid?" They go, "I must. There's blood when I wipe." Has anybody looked at you? Has anybody evaluated you? No, I was told by my insurance I could just call telemedicine and get hemorrhoid medication. I'm like, you still got to get checked out. Any sign of blood, you have got to get checked out. Interestingly, the Dr. Desai, the one who was notorious for having alleged hepatitis spread through his endoscopy center because of poor protocols and contamination that happened with the propofol and anesthetics. And I had trained with for my GI rotation as a student, and he had told me anytime there's blood in the stool, they need to get evaluated for colorectal cancer. And I remembered that. However, some other medical students who didn't rotate with him didn't get that same, one, I guess, nugget of information. And I had a colleague of mine who, a younger person, had some blood in the stool. They treated her for hemorrhoids. She ends up, she was only 26 years old, ends up having colorectal cancer. Yet for me, because I never forgot what that doctor taught me, even though he was a piece of work with what happened with his hepatitis clinic, and by no means am I defending him, but I have to give credit where credit's due. When a 25-year-old weightlifter came to me saying that he had blood in his stool, I sent him to a GI specialist to get checked out. And because the kid thought it was only hemorrhoids, and he actually had colorectal cancer, but we caught it, and we caught it early. And so education and nugget to you all is if there is any sign of blood in your stool or when you wipe, you've got to get checked out. So cancer cases are rising. We had a study, I believe, about a year and a half ago saying stage 3 cervical cancer is on the rise. Why stage 3? Well, because nobody's finding it at stage 1 or stage 2 to the degree that they did before. So by the time somebody has an issue and by the time it gets diagnosed, it's already spread. And I had a patient the other day say, "Oh yeah, I've had blood in my stool for months. I'm not worried. I just need more medication." And I'm like, "Who examined you?" This is some scary stuff. So warning signs of colorectal cancer, as I said, is if there is blood in the stool, if you notice your stools are changing. People say, "But Dahlia, hemorrhoids can cause bleeding." Hemorrhoids are collapsed veins. And these collapsed veins can happen if you're constipated, having a baby, sitting for long periods of time. Yes, hemorrhoids happen. And they could mimic what could be early signs of colorectal cancer. But one thing I always tell patients is, why do you have the hemorrhoid? Did you make a hemorrhoid because you have a mass up above and you're pushing harder? Why are you constipated? Why are you making them? I'm not saying everybody with hemorrhoids has cancer, but just because you've been diagnosed with a hemorrhoid doesn't mean you're in the you're in the clear. Why do you have that hemorrhoid? A lot of times, people who have colon cancer have a history of hemorrhoids. So not to scare you guys, but that's why you've got to get it checked out. The colonoscopy, one of my favorite cancer screening tests of all times. Not to do. I've had multiple. I hate getting a colonoscopy done, but it's my favorite because it's the only cancer screening test that actually cures as it goes. If it sees any polyps, it'll remove that polyp. All cancer starts from polyps, but not all polyps turn to cancer. So when the doctor's doing the colonoscopy, if they see any polyps, they will very easily remove them. They can, and then that polyp can never turn to cancer again. It's pretty cool. And you don't really feel it. No pain. You do have to do a proper prep. To me, the worst part of the colonoscopy is the prep, because you have to be drinking mag citrate and taking laxatives and emptying out your colon. But every time I've done it, I've been able to go to bed at 10 o'clock without any problem, because I start early by doing a clear liquid diet. And we've discussed colonoscopy do's and don'ts. And for those of you about to get colonoscopy, I'll repost my suggestions. Like, if you are going to get a colonoscopy, make sure you have a bathroom dedicated to yourself. Because you do not want to be sitting there. In fact, now there's a commercial that is where the guy is waiting for his he's being told he has to do a colonoscopy, and the daughter is like screaming, "I need to use the bathroom," type of thing. So you want to make sure you have a dedicated bathroom. You want to make sure you have very soft toilet paper ready to go. If your gastroenterologist says do clear liquids the day before or a day and a half before, do it. The clear liquid diet really, really helped me out. You want to drink a lot of water because you're going to dehydrate from the diarrhea. If you don't, don't eat red Jello, but yellow Jello, light colored Gatorade, that kind of thing. Have some witch hazel or Tux nearby in case the tushy gets a little sore. But the big mistakes people make when it comes to colonoscopies is they work the day before, like I did. And so they don't start the prep till they come home. Now, I've been able to start my prep at 1 and then be done by 10. But most people, no, they could be for a whole day or two. But like I said, the reason why I've been able to do it is because I'm on clear liquids for at least 2 days. So there's not a lot of food in me. Do not sneak in non-liquid foods. If you eat a sandwich or something, that's going to make things worse. Avoid red and dark colored clear liquids. Don't use cheap toilet paper. I buy my toilet paper on Amazon, and I got to tell you, there's a Scott brand that is paper cutting us. I don't know how we got that brand, and I thought Scott was a normal brand, but it's really thin, and we don't like the paper. So get Charmin or some really good. Don't eat or drink the day of the procedure. Most of the times your provider will say no because you have to be NPO for the operation. Don't post your journey on social media. I mean, I did. I gave everybody the blow by blow, but you don't have to do that. You do not have to post. Also, the biggest point, the biggest thing that's going to save you, you're going to feel the need to pass gas, and then you might shart. So just keep in mind and have extra underwear ready to go. All right, so colorectal cancer screening. Got to get that done. Any sign of blood in the stool, talk to your younger, children or nieces or nephews about it and tell them that they got to get their butts checked. It's life-saving. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So while I was donating blood last week, I was thinking everybody, I couldn't imagine living with a condition where you are dependent on the generosity of strangers. And that's what people with hemophilia, primary immune deficiency, and other conditions, trauma patients, etc., face every day. And we can't make blood, human plasma. We can't make that in a lab. We need it from humans. Every donation is critical. A recent survey conducted by the Plasma Protein Therapeutics Association revealed that nearly 80% of respondents have never donated. Why? Well, this story is really personal for filmmaker, producer, advocate Patrick James Lynch. He is now going to join us with details to help raise awareness of the importance of plasma donation. Patrick, so honored to have you. Welcome to the show.
Dr. Dahlia, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be talking plasma with you today.
Oh, my gosh. You are such a huge advocate of this because you have your own personal story. Talk to us about your story.
I do, yeah. So I have hemophilia, which is a rare inherited bleeding disorder. And that means one of the proteins involved in the clotting process, my body doesn't naturally produce it. So as a child, I was dependent upon medicines made from plasma to honestly stay alive. It is not overstating it to tell you I wouldn't be here today were it not for the generosity of plasma donors throughout my childhood. I should also mention that I lost my younger brother to bleeding complications as a result of hemophilia, which was traumatic and underscored, of course, the severity of this condition when medicine isn't available. And I have a 5-year-old daughter that has hemophilia. So this is a subject personal to me. I take very seriously the need for medicines made from plasma for the patients that need them.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. As a child, was it that you were having nosebleeds, or were you, do you remember how you were diagnosed? What were the symptoms you were having?
I do. I was diagnosed. I don't remember what I was told. I was diagnosed as a toddler, crawling around and bruising profusely. I had no family history, which is the case of about a third of the time for people with hemophilia. So it was a little bit of a mystery, but fortunately my mother is a registered nurse. Her spidey senses went up. She wasn't satisfied when she was first told, he's just a bruiser. So we got testing done and found out that it was indeed hemophilia.
Wow. And I've been telling people for years, it's so easy to donate. I go there and then I get yummy chocolate chip cookies, and I always post pictures and showing how easy, what information do you like to share to talk to people so they understand, that the process is easier to do? Yeah,
I like to emphasize that plasma donation is a low-risk procedure. Available studies have shown that donating plasma is as safe as donating blood. And the process itself is pretty straightforward. On a first visit to a donor center, an individual would be met by a licensed medical professional who will take them through a screening, a health exam, and a questionnaire to ensure that that donor is indeed a healthy, viable donor, and then the donation itself takes place. That first visit is about a 2-hour commitment, and then subsequent visits and donations are about an hour.
You know, it's simple, easy, and many of us qualify. I know there's certain weight restrictions and things like that. I mean, for me, I just barely make it with my weight being enough. No, I'm joking. But you know, the plasma donation process, it's a little different than donating blood. Talk to us about the differences.
Sure. So yeah, as mentioned, it's been proven to be as safe as donating blood, but there are some key differences. When an individual such as yourself donates blood, all 4 components of blood are donated. That's the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the platelets, and the plasma. Plasma is the liquid that carries proteins, hormones, and other materials throughout the body. So a blood donation, all 4 components are donated. In a plasma donation, the plasma itself is extracted from the donation, and then those other 3 components, the red and white blood cells and the platelets, are returned to the donor's body. So what does that mean experientially? It means that a blood donation takes about 20 minutes or so, whereas a plasma donation takes about an hour because there is that additional step of returning those 3 components to the body. What's also important, though, to emphasize, blood can only be donated approximately once every 2 months. That's a general figure, but that's in the ballpark, about once every 2 months. Plasma, because of how quickly the body regenerates plasma, can actually be donated multiple times per week. So when we talk about the need for plasma, patients like me who are dependent upon these medications, millions of people around the world every year depending on these medicines, when we donate plasma, we can donate plasma more frequently and in greater quantity. So those are some of the distinctions between blood and plasma donation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was going to say that I had donated, I think I was on my 4th blood donation in a year, and I got rejected because I was too anemic. I had donated too much. Yet if I was just doing plasma, then I could continue to help people. Because honestly, you know, it really takes a village. I mean, you know, to make sure we have plenty of components, you know, for individuals like you and your daughter, you know, God bless you. We're speaking to Patrick James Lynch, filmmaker, producer, advocate. You know, I helped create National Blood Donation Week with the help of BioLife Plasma Services, with the help of American Red Cross, Vitalant, and we do this to raise awareness to not only donate blood, but to donate plasma, donate platelets. There's so many opportunities, and you know, not all donors are the same, and so there sometimes, you know, donating plasma but would be right up your alley if you fear, you know, that, well, I don't want to lose my hemoglobin, or I don't want to, you know, I don't want to become anemic, and so this really helps dispel that. You know, Patrick James Lynch, I know we don't have a lot of time with you, but I love having you. What else would you like to share with my listeners?
Well, I know this is a lot of information, so I do want to highlight BioLife Plasma. You mentioned BioLife Plasma Services. BioLifePlasma.com is a great source of information for more information about the process itself. It also has a finder for a location near you. So anyone who's hearing this and is curious about the process, thinking, hey, maybe I could be a plasma donor, 2 things I would encourage you to do: visit biolifeplasma.com, learn more, find a center near you, and talk about this. Talk about this. We need more people talking about the critical and unique role that plasma plays in our healthcare system. You mentioned it before. It's not just for people with primary immune deficiency, hemophilia, and serious conditions, though that is driving a large amount of the need. But plasma is also used in emergency and critical care scenarios. So arguably, it is a safety net for all of us, and we only get it through the donation from healthy, qualified donors.
Absolutely. Patrick James Lynch, we are so glad you came on. We can't wait to have you back. And we look forward to some of your amazing films you've done as it pertains to health. And oh my gosh, you work with Paul Rudd. I love him. You know, you've worked with such amazing actors. And so I can't wait to have you back and talk more about that. But one more time, the website for my listeners.
Thank you so much. BioLifePlasma.com. I so appreciate this, and I encourage your listeners check out biolifeplasma.com and talk about plasma.
Awesome. Patrick James Lynch, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. You know, it's 2026, and we still, and I don't see in our near future any sort of advancement in where we have the ability to lab grow what we need. There's to replace the dynamic pint of blood or plasma, or platelets or components to blood. We're not there yet. And it really relies on individuals who are donating. And that's why when I'm there, I'm thinking everybody, I'm like, you guys are the best. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. And many of you who have donated. Now, if you can't donate, don't feel bad. One thing that can also really help is when you host a drive. It doesn't cost you any money. At work, you can you'll get 10 people to sign up saying, guys, I want to bring a bloodmobile van, and these blood services are able to bring the van, bring the cookies, all you have to do is just remind everybody, come on guys, let's do it. And if you host a drive, wow, you're saving lives too. So check it out. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99-799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99-799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99-799. Again, FREE to 99-799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
I'm really excited about our next segment. Participation in clinical trials, very critical. It impacts all Americans. But too often, patients who carry the greatest burden of disease are left out of the very trials designed to treat them. Now, this lack of representation not only limits access to cutting-edge care, but also weakens the science that drives new treatments, slowing progress. Expanding trial participation ensures new medicines are tested, safe, and effective for everyone who needs them. And many of you have actually reached out about opportunities with clinical trials. Well, I'm really excited about this. The WIN Awards program exists to address this critical issue. It was founded in 2020 with a $100 million grant by the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation. It's an independent charitable organization implemented by the Virginia Commonwealth University Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center. And the program's mission is to improve participation in clinical trials to drive better health outcomes in all communities and hence save more lives. With over 300 graduates to date, Its Career Development Award, a 2-year training and mentorship program for early career physician researchers, recently welcomed its 5th annual cohort, year 5. This is fantastic. And this new cohort has about 79 physicians being trained in designing and implementing these high-impact clinical trials, as well as the science of community engagement, with the goal of fostering community-oriented researchers that can help drive better health outcomes for all. I am really, really excited about this. This is huge. So joining us next is Catherine Grimes, president of the Bristol-Myers Squibb Foundation, as well as Dr. Robert A. Wynn, who is the namesake of the program, and they're going to discuss today how the Wynn Awards is transforming clinical research. I am so excited. So let's start. So expanding participation in clinical trials is huge. It helps develop safe, effective treatments, but it's tricky. Talk to us about that.
I'll start
Catherine,
with
you
that
want to
one.
start?
Yeah, I'll start with that one, Rob. Dr. Dahlia, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us on your show. And you said it. Patients who too often the patients who are most affected by certain diseases are left completely out of the clinical trials for the trials for the drugs to treat those diseases. And that means we may be not fully understanding how well the treatment works for all people who may need it. When treatments are tested on only a narrow group, researchers may miss critical information, such as side effect and safety concerns that could affect the group that are not included in the study. So by broadening participation, we actually improve the science. Ultimately, expanding participation strengthens the evidence behind the treatments, it drives better health outcomes for everyone, and it saves lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this Wynn Awards program. This is exciting. It helps build trust in communities. It expands access to this research. Dr. Wynn, talk to us about the Wynn Awards program.
Yeah, from my perspective, this was really, really brought about because I recognized that we were making progress, believe it or not, in the United States in the war against cancer. 36% fewer Americans are dying from cancer in 2024, 2025 than they were in 1991. Probably not as a result only of drinking kale and maybe, or drinking, carrot juice and eating more kale, but as a result, honestly, of the advancements of not only screening prevention, but the advancements in the clinical trial space. And yet it turns out that when we're looking at rural communities and underserved communities, they were less represented in getting the benefits. So this was a unapologetic, big, audacious goal of ensuring that if we can get to 36%, the way we were going to get to 50% fewer Americans is to make sure that we turn the access of clinical trials and making it more accessible to those populations that really need it. So that's the ethos of it. And at the center of that is how do we build trust? So we're not only designing the first group workforce in America of clinical community-oriented clinical trialists, not just in the United States, but in the world, that not only have expertise in designing and implementing trials, but they also have expertise and awareness of the science of engaging communities and using those tools to not only build trust, but to build impact and to build effectiveness. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Rob.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Rob, and that's exactly what we call the secret sauce to this program. Is it doesn't sound like a big deal, but to date, there's been no other training program to engage physicians and train them in clinical trials that trains them in not only how to conduct high quality clinical trials, but how to understand and engage with the community that they're serving. To date, that's really been the responsibility of the navigator or the outreach person or the extender. And the physician was really just tasked with focusing on the science and the clinical research and the study. But that's what's really different. And it's huge that we're training these physicians to become community-oriented clinical trialists and saying they need to own the knowledge and engagement with the community as well as the rest of the extension team.
My patients who participated in like the COVID vaccine trials or some of the cancer research trials, it was so rewarding. Not only did they feel that, they were getting access to care, but they also felt like they were helping steer some of the progress that we're making. It's huge. Talk to us about some of the progress that you've seen since the program began.
Yeah, since the program, and thank you for bringing that up. When we think about clinical trials, we've talked about it, and there's so much the ghost of the past, the Tuskegee and Henrietta Lacks and things that we forget about the power of its future, and that is hope. When you go into a clinical trial, you're doing two things. You're, particularly as a cancer patient, you're having the potential hope that, like some of the trials have extended somebody's life, it'll extend yours. You have the hope that if it doesn't work for you, it'll work for people, that come behind you. This is the power of hope. So this trial has the data to back it up. It's not just what we said, we like the trial and we like the people. The data are clear that we've collected over the last several years that this crew, this training methodology, this ability to show people how to get different people on the trials has beat industry standards and other standards by a mile. So we're able to get high impact trials into more places with our trainees than anybody else, because they are fully understanding and aware of the importance of the trials and the importance of how to actually integrate that into communities. And so the impact has been huge in that they're able to get larger numbers of people in rural communities and at-risk communities onto clinical trials. And that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's still challenges that remain now, trying to expand participation and get people, talk to us about those challenges you guys are facing.
Yeah, I'll start
I'm
with
going to let Catherine handle that one.
Yeah, and you'll probably have something to add too, Rob. But, Dr. Dahlia, sadly, historically, many populations have been underrepresented in clinical trials due to cultural, socioeconomic, geographic barriers. And sadly, many of those challenges still exist today. And that's really exactly the barriers that we designed this program around and are training this physician specifically to address. To break these barriers, there's really an urgent need for the researchers to better understand the communities they're serving and build that genuine connection and trust so that they can engage and bring the standard of care and bring the science to all communities who may need it. And that's really exactly what the Win Award scholars are doing in communities across the country. And we think their impact is going to be felt for years to come.
Awesome. Wonderful. I know we're running out of time. How can my listeners find more information?
Just real quick, that this concept of tearing down barriers is not just something that you want to do. You have to have the skills to do it. And that's the additional thing that this program allows them to have access to, of how to tear down the barriers. So, Catherine, if you want to tell how to get into the program.
Yeah, Dr. Dahlia, now's a great time. They can go to winawards.org, and that's win with two N's, WINN awards.org. And now's a great time because we've got applications open for our Clinical Investigator Pathway Program. That is the program for medical students who are interested in getting exposure to clinical research career pathways. And in January, we're going to be opening applications for our Career Development Award. That's the 2-year award program for early stage investigator physicians. And again, those applications will open in January. So they can go to the winawards.org to not only learn more about the program, but to apply for one of our multiple awards in the program.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Can't wait to have you back. God bless you, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Dahlia.
Thank you, Dr. Dahlia.
Anytime. All right, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by financial fitness show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.